Hey everyone, it's Michelle Auger, and you're listening to Encounters in Ecto. Unfortunately, tonight, Miss Denise Harris is feeling a little under the weather. I talked to her on the phone, she's okay, she's just got that, that upper respiratory crap that's going on. She's just not feeling it tonight, so y'all are stuck with me. Ha 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 ha. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, tonight I want to touch base with a couple things. Well, the first thing is this really whacked out ghost story that somebody sent me. It's kind of like ghost story, abilities, time travel. It's like out there. But, I love this kind of stuff. So, and the second thing is what is going on with the weird lights in the sky? There's been several people that have reported it, from San Diego to Amarillo to Montana, Madison, Wisconsin, Florida. They're all over the place. What are these strange lights? Are we talking alien? Is it military? Is it ghosts? Is it aliens? Nobody knows. So we'll definitely get into that. But first I want to tell you about the story. This came to me from a friend of mine who is pretty solid, and she does have abilities. She's told me this before, and I believe her. And she's telling me a story of when her abilities first came into play, and she didn't even realize the things that was going on in her house had to do with her. I don't want to give away too much, but most definitely it's a wild story. Okay, so this is the story. I'm going to read it exactly how approximately how she wrote it to me. She said, when I was 10 years old, we had moved into this big house, and I was so excited because I had never had my own room before. Said I drew the short straw. It's a game, for people who don't know. You put a bunch of straws together, and you make one shorter than the other, and whoever gets the short straw, loses. So anyway, she said I drew the short straw, and I drew the basement. Ooh. She said, well, not really the basement. It was just like a lower level off of our living room. It didn't go all the way down. But still, it was away from everybody else. And the room was nice. It had windows. And it had really nice carpet in there. Ooh, I don't like carpet. But anyway, it had nice carpet in there. She said, but almost instantly I started getting headaches when we moved there. Said I couldn't get anything straight at night. It's like it seemed like my thoughts were all jumbled and headaches were just constant. Well, my mother, of course, thought maybe there was mold in the room, so she had the carpet taken up. Well, thank God for that. Had the carpet taken up, and she had wood floors installed, and she thought maybe that had been the problem. But no, the headaches got worse, and then things started happening in the house. Things started moving on their own. Doors were opening and closing. Cabinets were opening and closing. My mother said one night she felt like somebody was sitting on her. And she couldn't breathe and felt like she was choking. Even my father, who had told us all we were crazy at first, started seeing things and hearing things and having his things go missing. My brothers and sisters, of course, were having nightmares, but I was the only one being physically affected. Physically meaning my health. Everybody else was getting scratches and bruises. We all kind of knew it had to do with me because I was the only one not getting scratched up. So then my mother thought, well, maybe it was the room, that maybe it didn't want me in that room. So she took me out of that room and she moved me in with my sister. And then everything got even worse. We started hearing pounding in the house, especially down by that room. Pounding and just constant scratching on the walls, and they were hearing voices. I wasn't hearing them, but they were. But my health kept declining. I kept getting these horrible headaches, and then pretty soon my hair was falling out. My skin was almost like a grayish ash color. I didn't know what to do. My mother didn't know where to turn either, and my father had just almost given up. He kept staying out of the house because he couldn't deal with it. He told me later in years he somewhat felt like a failure because he couldn't financially move us, but he knew there was something in the house, and he didn't know how to fight it, and he didn't know what to do. Well, my mother had talked to a neighbor, and one of the neighbors had given her the number for, almost like a ghost busting type place. She said, they're not around now, but they were at the time. I don't even think that they were registered. It was just some people that got together and tried to help people. Well, they came to the house, and their final conclusion was that the problem was me. They claimed that I was producing these poltergeists in the house, that there was something with me, that I had strong abilities, and every time I got scared, or I wasn't feeling good, or things were going wrong, that I was producing things to hurt other people, not consciously, not willingly, but it was still happening. They also did some more research of the house and come to find out a girl had died in that house. Her parents were at work and she was at home, and it was carbon monoxide poisoning. And she thinks that there was an echo in the house that I was feeling, and that it was making me feel her symptoms of her death. And then that happening to me was causing a reflection on everybody in the house, if that makes any sense. I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense to me. I mean, I can totally understand. So, like, she was getting the echoes of the ghost, and then because her abilities of projection, she was able to produce this poltergeist that was hurting other people because this echo was making her sick. Which is totally crazy, but wow. Okay, so what they recommended for me, wow, they wanted the whole house to be blessed, and they wanted for me to have a total cleansing, and I needed to start doing different things each week to keep my mind calm, yoga, different things like that. And also they recommended that my mother put up carbon monoxide detectors, even though the house was safe now, it was electric heat, but they still said to do that in honor of the little girl who died. So maybe she would feel safer for us. So that's what we did. We went and got a priest and got the house blessed. And they took me off to another location with my mother present, did a total cleansing of me with sage and holy water and things like that. And we put up the carbon monoxide detectors, and all the activity started to decrease. I started feeling better. The house seemed to feel a little lighter. And everybody in the house stopped. Oh, sorry, I'm skipping it. Everybody in the house stopped hearing voices, and the pounding stopped. I couldn't believe the miracle that had taken place just in a few days. That was the first time that we moved into that house that I actually felt well, that everybody seemed happy. Since then, I have to keep my abilities in check. It seemed to be heightened at the time because I was in preteen status. But now, even as an adult, I have to watch it, because if I get upset or I get mad, angry, or hurt, things tend to happen around me. Not to the elevation that it did then, but keys will go missing, or papers or things that I just set down will just suddenly be gone, or I'll hear a cabinet slam. It's nothing like Carrie, mind you, but it is definitely to a level of I feel like people around me might be in danger if I get mad or I'm hurt. So I have to really be careful of what I say and do. Wow, that's wild. You know what's funny is I can remember this girl, I worked with her, and I can remember like nights we were busy and things like that. I can remember like stuff like I would leave a pen on the counter and I'd be like, where the heck did my pen go? I mean, I'm not saying it was her, but I do remember things like that happening working with her. So, I'm wondering if stuff like that has ever happened, like in a patient's room or something. That's kind of scary. But yeah, definitely. But she says I do different things each week, like Tai Chi, yoga, and I do a lot of meditation, and that seems to help. The incidents seem to be very little to none now throughout the year, as long as I can keep everything maintained to a level where I'm calm and healthy. Well, hello. Wow, that's a trip, though, to think that you could project something that could actually, like, hurt your family members without you even knowing it, just because you're sick or you're upset. this is kind of like a wild thing. So it's like she, kind of like a time travel thing, because this person, like she was getting the symptoms of this little girl. Wow. So she got the symptoms of the little girl from another time, was getting her death symptoms, and that girl was almost like a warning, and what stopped it was putting up carbon monoxide detectors. That's so insane. It's like, mind-blowing. Wow. How do you guys feel about that? Do you believe that people can actually project things like that? Do you believe that some people have the abilities to make things move? To make cabinet doors slam or doors open and close? Or just in general, be able to scratch people in the house or make things disappear? I mean, you've heard of it happening more than once, I'm sure. I have. I have definitely heard things, and and I believe that everybody has abilities to a certain extent. I mean, I know I do, but I think people have different types of abilities. I don't have that kind. I have more like, I don't know, I call it involuntary, because I can't just walk into a place and just see things. I always see things on the random. Do you know what I mean? Like once in a while, I'll see like a shadow out of the corner of my eye, or I'll hear a voice. That really trips me out when I hear the voices. I don't like that. And it's not inside my head. I'm like not crazy, but like I will hear, like I work in the medical field, and I will hear, like, 4 or 5 rooms over, I will hear somebody talking and go there, there's nobody there. Or, somebody I'm working with, like I work with another girl who also has abilities. And we'll be sitting there and we'll hear somebody say like, hey, come here. And we go there and like everybody's asleep, so we don't know if somebody's talking in their sleep or we actually heard something. One night she swore she saw a cat, which is really weird. She thought she saw a cat go by her. And I've had things move. I've had doors open and close. I've definitely, the weirdest thing I've ever had is seeing like a full body apparition. That kind of tripped me out because I'd never seen that before. One night I had seen this guy. He was an older gentleman. He was in a suit. It was an older suit. And I seen him. There was like a T-cross hallway, and I was going down the longer part, going up to where it crossed over. Well, I seen this man in this suit, and he was, like I said, older, in an older suit. And he walked across. Now, where he walked, though, the doors were closed, and it was an empty unit. And he looked over at me, and he smiled, and he kind of nodded his head. And I'm like, sir, that unit's closed. And I kind of quickened my pace a little bit to try to stop him. When I get over there, he was gone. And I looked, and I opened up the door, turned on the lights, everything. There's nobody there. So that really freaked me out that day. To see a full body, I mean, like, can't see through it type thing. I've always seen stuff where I've seen like half of people, if that makes any sense, like where you can see the top half but not the bottom, or you can see like the torso or just the head. It's, that's a trip when you see a head floating, and I have seen that before. But again, I don't see like stuff all the time. It's just randomly. I can go months without seeing something, and all of a sudden I'll see like a bunch of stuff for 7 days straight or something. And that's how the girl I work with is too. Same thing. She doesn't always see it, but then there's those other people. That everywhere they go, that's what they see. They see the dead like they see the living. So, I don't know. It's just kind of weird how people have that ability. And some people, when they get mad, things fly. And then there's people like me where I get mad, nobody cares, But you know what I mean. It's like it's just a trip. But I do believe that everybody has an ability. Has some kind of ability. I don't believe that everybody's completely shut off to the veil of the known, or the other side, whatever you want to call it. Tell me what you guys think about it, though. Do you honestly think that things like that happen, or is it all like can be explained away? Is it all maybe imagination? Is it overtired? Is it just something else, maybe a TV, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, I've thought about that too, but then there's times, like I said, the full body thing or things moving, there's no explanation for. So, what do you think it is? So, definitely message us and tell us, or go on to the KBLP LLC website and tell us on Facebook and say, hey, this is what I think it is. Or go on the message board right here and tell us what you think it is. But it's a trip, though, just to think about. Okay, well, enough of that, and let's go on to something else that is also controversial about beliefs and different things like that, is aliens. There has recently, in the last few months, been some weird sightings, and I myself saw something in the end of August, right before a thunderstorm. I assumed it was weather balloons. And I think I discussed this on the show before. There was a thunderstorm coming, and I seen these lights in the sky. It was like one lit up, another one lit up, another one lit up, another one lit up. And there was like 5 of them. And it's like when one would go out, the other one would light up. But then you would think that one was done, but no. It's like the second one went out, the other one lit up. It was almost like some kind of weird pattern. And I wasn't the only one that seen it. There was a girl, it was funny, because that night we were both late for work. We were in the parking lot, we were both hauling butt going in the building, and I stopped dead in my tracks to watch these lights. And then she was wondering what I was looking at, so she stopped to look at them. We sat there probably, here we are already late, and we're there looking at them probably a good 10 minutes, because it was just such a trip, And I just assumed it was a weather balloon. That's the conclusion I came up with, because it really did look, because I've seen a weather balloon and it did look like that. But weather balloons don't go out and light up, you know what I mean? And it was a very slow process. It was kind of like it would fade out, and then another one would come back in. That one would fade out, and then the other one would come back in again. It was just so weird. Well, like I said, I assumed it was a weather balloon. So, fast forward, now 2 months later, I'm finding out in places all over the country. San Diego, Madison, Wisconsin, Amarillo, Texas. There's, everywhere. Virginia Beach, Virginia. In Florida, Georgia, Washington, Montana. There are these lights that people are seeing in the sky. 5 lights that seem to appear and disappear. But they're all in a row. They appear, disappear, reappear. It's so insane. And I'm reading these and they're not being counted as like aliens. It's a UFO, an unidentified flying object, which does not always mean aliens, because that's where people always jump to. It's like, oh, well, it's an alien. No, an unidentified flying object could be a freaking frisbee. You know what I mean? So, but nobody knows what these lights are, but they're happening all over. So I'm wondering if there's like some kind of firework out there, or is there some kind of light, like drones or something? I don't even know. But it's a trip. Like, I wonder if they've got like 5 drones that are like tied together or something that can make the lights go on and off. I don't know. All I know is it's a little trippy, and it's freaky to watch, especially right before a storm. That's why I just assumed it was a weather balloon, because a storm was coming. But there's people out there that have got videos of it. Go on to YouTube or Google, and Google the 5 lights in the sky, or lights in the sky, and it is a trip to watch, because so many people have recordings of this, and I believe the one in Madison has a good recording. And what's funny is the one in Madison that was reported, it was the same night that we seen it, and I only live about 40 minutes from there, so it couldn't have been a weather balloon, because we both couldn't have been seeing it at the same time, not 40 miles away. So I don't even know. And Denise Harris, I believe, said that there was something like that reporting in Ohio too. So I don't know. To me, that's a little scary. But you all tell me what you think. What you think it might be that it's being seen all over. Some people are saying government. Of course, we get into the government part. It's a conspiracy. It's a new weaponized whatever. Other people are saying holograms. Which that I might believe more, that they're testing holograms, than I would be like some kind of new plane, because a new plane's not just going to sit there. You know what I mean? which, and it can happen, because, like, this is a funny story real quick. When I lived in California, this was years ago, right outside of Edwards Air Force Base, there's a town called Roseman, California. And we were going through there one time, and, well, for months, we kept seeing this weird thing in the sky, and it looked like a Batman or whatever. And that was before those planes were out. And, of course, the Air Force, no, we're not testing any new planes, blah, 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 total denial. Well, the plane that they weren't testing crashed by a highway one day. So, of course, they, and the pilot parachuted out. So it's like, by that time, they had to admit to it. They're like, okay, yeah, I'm guilty, busted, yep, it was us, my bad. But, so, I do believe that the government tests different types of planes and technology and whatnot, and reverse propulsion, whatever, I'm sure they test all kinds of things and don't tell us about it. But these 5 lights don't make any sense because they're just stationary. Do you know what I mean? And there's nothing dropping out of them. It's not like on TV with those big lights where things are dropping out like teardrops. This is like seriously just 5 lights in the sky that just kind of hover. And they're being seen all over the place. So this is a thing. I mean, is it people with a hoax? Is it like I said, like 5 drones tied together or something that are going up in the air, with lights going on and off? Is it some kind of firework? Maybe it is a weather balloon. Maybe they're going up everywhere, because that's what they, of course, they determine that a lot though, don't they? It was a weather balloon. It was a weather balloon. No, there were no alien bodies. It was a weather balloon. Roswell, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Roswell, New Mexico, that UFO went down there supposedly in the 40s. And these people that found it supposedly said there was aliens in there, and they took the alien bodies out and all this stuff, and they basically took over the whole town, basically. And then the next day, people that were talking about it were visited by men in black, basically telling them to shut the hell up about it. So, was it alien? Was it a secret government craft? Because that kind of technology was around, because now they have footage that in Germany, they had that kind of technology in the 30s. So, who knows what to believe? Do you know what I mean? And then, of course, after World War II, we basically kidnapped German scientists, so, they could have brought that technology to us. So I really don't know. So, I can't, sorry, they didn't kidnap them, they offered them asylum, quote unquote, to come to the United States and share their secrets. So, but yeah. Anyways, so that was a story with that, and that's like a huge cover-up, because I believe these people. I believe the people of that town. Sorry, my voice is going there. I was sick a few days ago myself, so if you can't tell, I sound like I just smoked like 4 packs of cigarettes, but I didn't. But anyways, I believe the people of that town. I totally believe that there was something way more than a weather balloon. But it's something that'll never be proved because they covered it up, and Area 51's another proof of bullshit going on, within our government. So, with hiding things. So who knows, what these lights are. But, what do you guys think about it? What do you think that these lights are in the sky? I mean, give me some theories. Give me some possible explanations, because I'm all about logical explanations of things. I don't always go off the deep end and always jump into the rabbit hole of conspiracy, but sometimes it's hard not to, because like you take the chemtrails, all those years, chemtrails, everybody's like, you're nuts, you're crazy, but then the Air Force just came out a few years ago and admitted that they were doing this stuff. So, who knows what it is. So what do you think these 5 lights are in the sky that are being seen all over the place? And it used to be that lights and stuff like that were more prominent around water, but it's happening everywhere. The desert, the mountains, the forest, by the big lakes. And they always have been, don't get me wrong. But it just seems like the big ones seem to happen like off the coast of California, off the coast of, the East Coast, the Gulf of Mexico, the Great Lakes, but now it's happening all over the place. And of course, New Mexico's always been a hot spot, but I think that's where we're testing stuff. That's where we've always tested our government playthings, you know what I mean?